Inauguration Day. The mayor's office is telling D.C. council members that they are bracing for the possibility of large-scale riots around Inauguration Day and January 6th. News 4's Mark Seagraves was in that briefing. He joins us live near the Ellipse with that story. Mark.
Yeah, good evening. You can take a look over my shoulder and see that the stage is set for the vice president's speech. Thousands of people, you said, have been in line since early this morning filing in. Originally, they were anticipating about 20,000 people here. That shifted to about 40,000 as the estimated total. Then this morning, Chief Pamela Smith told reporters it could be as many as 50,000 people down here on the Ellipse for this event tonight. All, as you said, as the district is preparing for more large-scale events like this over the coming months. Fencing surrounded the Ellipse this morning in preparation for tonight's event. At the same time, just blocks away, D.C. Assistant City Administrator Chris Rodriguez was briefing the D.C. Council on security preparations for Election Day through January 6th and Inauguration Day, telling lawmakers D.C. is bracing for the possibility of, quote, large-scale riots and civil unrest. Rodriguez also told council members they are preparing for historic crowds in D.C. on Inauguration Day, no matter which candidate wins. D.C. Police Chief Pamela Smith briefed reporters this morning. She said her officers are ready for all the different events taking place today as well as the coming months.
I want to assure you that the Metropolitan Police Department and all of the D.C. government agencies continue to prepare for these events. The Metropolitan Police Department supports individuals peacefully exercising their First Amendment rights. But I want to be very clear. We will not tolerate any violence of any kind. We will not tolerate any riots. We will not tolerate the destruction of property. We will not tolerate any unlawful behavior. Offenders will be arrested and will be held accountable.
Now you're taking a look down Constitution Avenue by the White House with this road completely shut down for as far as you can see. And then take a look over here on the lawns of the Washington Monument. This has been set up with speakers and screens for an overflow audience here tonight. Now, again, in the comments from the Assistant City Administrator and the Chief of Police, this is the first time that both of them have used the word riots when describing what they're preparing for as we get closer to January 6th and Inauguration Day. That is notable. As for the mayor tonight, she will be both attending here at 7 o'clock, the vice president's speech, and then she will head over toward DuPont Circle at 9 o'clock for the high heel race. That's the latest down here at the Ellipse. Mark Seagraves, News 4.
Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and Ruwell. Blessings and salutations to the whole elect. Yours in the gospel, brother, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is just a quick lesson through the Spirit. It says D.C. preparing for possible election riots and civil unrest. They was going into inauguration time, which is, I believe I think the inauguration takes place like January 19th or 20th or something like that. Takes place in the month of January. But regardless of it, D.C. is pretty much under soft martial law or heavy security orders because, you know, they feel like people are going to kind of act out of pocket depending on which candidate assumes the role of the White House, which, you know, presidents are always selected, not elected. The average person don't really know that. They feel like their vote actually makes a difference, and it really don't, which to show you how stupid and uninformed the American people really is, because if they knew any better, they wouldn't even be wasting their times portraying like they are, or they wouldn't even waste their times going down to these candidates in these polls, casting a ballot that don't even count, because you have what they call the Electoral College, which ultimately decides who's going to be the president, you know. And on top of that, the elites have already decided, okay, like back in 1995, you had a guy by the name of Rick Nusidinsky, which is basically Obama's handler. And they already had plans on setting this guy Obama up to be the president of the United States come year 2008. But yet, when he became president that year, I mean, the country turned up. I mean, they act like it was the second coming of Yahweh Shai, man. I remember when he won that election, you know, and Chicago was just turned all the way up. I mean, it was to the point, it was celebrations everywhere. People was protesting. I mean, you know, celebrations, you know, Jake was happy. Jake was celebrating. Jake was getting high and drunk, man. They act like they scored the victory. And then that same year, the economy collapsed on this nigga's watch. And he done a damn thing for Jake, but yet they went down there and put that nigga back in office for 4 more years. Which show you how dumb these people really is, man. Okay, the whole concept of a bipartisan or a political system that people can vote on is under what they call a democracy, which goes into people's rule. Now, this is not truly a democracy. In fact, this is this society is based on capitalism, man. All right, this is really a dictatorship, or this is like what you call America's not a democracy. I'll put it to you that way. But under the so-called Constitution and particular rights that people have, their freedoms is under the illusion of a democracy, but it's really not. Okay, so they give people the semblance of being able to go down there and vote and to make it seem like their voice matters, but you even had elites or lower level elites coming out inside of saying like the votes don't mean anything. Like you can vote 10 times for Donald Trump and he can literally be the legitimate winner. But if the elites don't want him in there, then that's not going to be the case. But the average person don't know that because they're under this delusion, they're under this witchcraft, this spell. Okay, so now they're talking about civil unrest possibly breaking out in America. And you know what? Eventually, that will be the case because that's in the scriptures. Okay? So, give me 1 second. So anyway, let's get a couple of precepts here because there was a couple of videos I seen on civil unrest, and actually I did one last night. But like when you go, where is it at? Dabu 7. Matter of fact, let's look up Dabu real quick. He gets some good information on this as well. 2 days ago, it says, "Are you ready? DC begins boarding up, holding drills ahead of election." That's like some type of preparation for martial law, But anyway, this is the book of Jeremiah 50, and I'm going to start at verses 45. It says, "My people, go ye out of the midst of her, and deliver every ye man his own soul from the fierce anger of the Lord." Okay? It says, "Unless your heart faint, and ye fear, for the rumor that should be heard in the land, a rumor should come both 1 year, and after that another year should come a ruler, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler." And even though this is going into world war, there's a buildup, okay? Because the rumors and the things that you've heard over the time is that, for one thing, there would be civil unrest, there would be race riots, class riots, there would be blackouts, there would be total pandemonium in the streets of Babylon. And not only in America, it's going to be around the world. Okay, this is going to be a worldwide fucking, when the US dollar collapse, this is going to be a worldwide collapse, man. All right, and not only here in America, you're going to have riots in Brazil, you're going to have riots in Venezuela, you're going to have riots down in Haiti, you're going to have riots in the UK, France. I mean, you have riots in these places now, but the whole world is getting ready to be at war. And on top of that, a world war. So it says here, "Unless your heart faint and ye fear for the rumor that should be heard in the land." Because when people hear these things, they get afraid, because ultimately they're not being backed by the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and they're not grounding themselves in the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Okay, they put their faith and trust in these leaders, and before you know it, they leave them high and dry. But it says a rumor should come both 1 year, and after that another year should come a rumor, and violence in the land. All right. "And therefore the days come that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babylon, and our whole land should be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her." And ultimately that's going into world war. But as I mentioned, before world war, you're going to have all types of tensions. You're going to have all types of chaos, protests. Like you have worldwide protests now, And people, they don't know which way to go. They don't know which candidate to really believe in, but they're just going with what their emotions tell them to do. Well, Donald Trump said he's going to make America great again. He's going to give us a license to open up on you jakes. Kamala's going to let us get our dicks chopped off, He's going to allow us to kill our babies without any repercussions. So when people hear these things, they go off the emotion, okay? Well, this is how I feel emotionally, so therefore I'm going to support that nonsense. And before you know it, you're already in the bind. Okay, like I think they say inflation, they say that the housing market, that shit that went up 28%. You know, the cost of living. I mean, groceries. I mean, it's to the point. I was at the store yesterday, and a carton of organic eggs is like $7 fucking, man. You know, so it's just like, goddamn. So yeah, people are getting ready to lose it. All right, let's play this video real quick. It's two different videos here, but I'm gonna play both these. The second one, U.S. Capitol holds military drills to prepare for civil war, possibly. So let's see what it says.
Hey guys, so everybody is ditching their
Fucking break, man. God.
car insurance, and they're doing this instead.
This is Dabu 7. As we approach the official election day here in the United States, we have a lot of red flags flying all over the place. We have former White House advisors warning that they believe Kamala and the regime is going to try to launch a civil war. We also have this mass casualty evacuation exercise that took place at the White House. There was two different events. A week prior they did a campus evacuation, which is suspect. You didn't see this type of stuff when Trump won it and got in there. Okay, when we did see them doing something similar, putting a fence around the White House, is when they installed Biden. Okay, so they're making similar moves here and running these big drills. We've got reps saying that they're planning to maintain control of the Capitol. So this is setting the stage, like they're preparing for something big to happen, regardless here. Drills, exercises have been launched, and the statement's being made that they're planning for civil war, for something to potentially break out here around the Capitol. We've seen them taking what looks to be an extra layer of fencing up around the perimeter as well to secure it. And in this drill, they had 12 helicopters dropping in on the Capitol to lock it down and get anyone out of there that they needed to. So I think it's worth mentioning here, heading into Election Day, and we're seeing all types of things happening across the United States, from the ballot box stuff to glitches when people are trying to put their votes in, even seeing it here in Kentucky. Make sure to follow my Twitter or X account for breaking news and updated information. And join me for the live streams Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here, where I talk about this in a whole lot more in greater detail.
So there you go. Basically, they're preparing for civil unrest because they know that both sides are on edge. Like they had this whole thing last week. They was burning ballot boxes and all that other stuff. So people are really turned up, man. While you Jakes is sitting up here playing games and trying to fit yourself into a situation that don't apply to you, all because you have the right to be more wicked towards the Heavenly Father. All this is getting ready to backfire, man. All right, because whoever wins, the tension is just gonna continue to grow among both sides, man. So a civil war is inevitable. All right, they didn't put that movie out earlier this year for nothing. And matter of fact, they put that movie Civil War out right before, I think it came out after the solar eclipse. And remember, we just had a total solar eclipse back in April, okay? And all of a sudden, all this shit is transpiring. World War III, economic collapse, RFID chip, riots, chaos. Things are happening, all right? Let's play this one last video and get a couple more precepts and we'll end it.
Under the abortion ban, no doctor in Missouri could help me. In the ban, so women can get the care they need.
If you have a car, the worst thing you could do right now is pay for auto insurance. Let me explain.
Are you ready for any potential blowback that comes from this election that pours into the streets, either which way it goes? Well, it looks like the government has been preparing for this. And as I recall, back when Trump went against Hillary, this wasn't happening. They weren't boarding up like this. They weren't going to this extreme, thinking that chaos was going to happen. Now, chaos happens in D.C. I've been there front line. I've filmed it. But it's almost always these groups that are connected to paid protesters and agitators that always tracks back to George Soros and the minions. This time I expect to be no different. If Trump gets in there, you're talking about a huge staged event. You're talking about everything they got to throw at it, they're going to try to throw at it. And when these people are being paid to do this, it gives them a license to just cause chaos, and they think they're going to get away with all of it. And they do most of the time when backed by these people. Now, if they give you Kamala, I'm not so sure that all the people that just sat there and did nothing last time are going to do that again. Trump said, this is it. He's not running 4 more years from now. There's nothing to wait on or anything from there. And there's just all these different theatrics that can happen here with the election. Kamala can sit there and say, I'm not going to sign this and push this through. She's the vice president. It's her job to certify the election, just like it was Pence's. And everyone called Pence a Judas because of what he did. Okay, she could just say, nope, we're not doing it. We're citing Article 3 of the 14th Amendment, and in that, we're saying that he is an insurrectionist, and because of that, he doesn't get the votes. And it weighs big here on what happens with the House of Representatives. And if they can push this through and try to pin Trump to the floor. If he wins, they're definitely going to go after him here on this world stage with the law, try to put him in jail, do all these things, no doubt. And I almost think that the stage is set for it. It seems that this time, tons of people are coming out on that side of this in support of Trump. And it looks very dismal on the other side. So either way it goes here, they're expecting some blowback. Will the Trumpers start burning places down and all that stuff if they give you Kamala? I would think not. I would think that you're going to see something different, something that's actually original, and you're going to see things happen that you've never seen before because people are at the end of the rope, and that's it. You're just going to see things go into motion, and it may just get other people watching to get up off their ass when they see true patriots making moves out there. But that's a whole different situation. You just never know. Everybody's always waiting for the white knight to come save the day. Well, you have got to be the change you seek. Ain't no one coming to the rescue. We ain't got no allies. And the stage is set for chaos, it seems, either way it goes. I just think that if they give you Trump, there's going to be less of it. We didn't see it last time. The majority of the people were satisfied. It's only the paid agitators that are out there causing the problem. So if they give you Trump and you see them lighting buildings on fire, it's the same old, same old. It really is. Within a day or two to be done, the city have to pay for the damage, and they know who did it. They know it all tracks back to Soros and these goons. They know it. So they just write it all off. But, telling you, if they give you Trump, which is highly likely in my book, they can unleash waves of chaos. It almost seems like that's the plan. And do they really got to be all paid protesters at this point? Or could they possibly be some of these millions of migrants they've brought in here for some reason? What about them Chinese? Just wait till they come out the bushes. Just wait till they all make their move. We're in a war, folks. We're in a war. Do not forget it. I wish you well out there in the streets or wherever you're at.
And that's the reality of it. It's something different about this election. Like, cause even he said it, dude ain't running no more after this. Who can they possibly give you if there is another one after this? Who they gonna give you? Fucking, what's that thing's name? Rachel Levine or some shit? That tranny, whatever that thing is. Look like a damn shark. It's something different about this, and the energy is off with it. But regardless of it, things are getting ready to pick up. And, you know, you heard it from the men of the Lord first. Okay, it wouldn't be no Dabu 7 or none of these other guys if it wasn't for the apostles of Great Millstone. Yeah, you always had Alex Jones and guys like that, Jero Salente and all these men. But even then, they not coming from a scriptural standpoint. All right, so this is the book of Ezekiel 7, and I'm going to start at verses 20. Let's start at verses 23. It says, make a chain, for the land is full of bloody crimes and the city is full of violence. Okay, violence is getting ready to go down in these cities because, like he said, people are on edge, man. Okay, they don't have any lifeline because they've put their trust into these. The elites have totally the elites have totally stripped these people of any type of protection to the point they've totally let their guards down to a tyrannical system. So now they have no choice but to fall in line with what the elites want. Okay, the elites totally blindsided them. Now they out there with no guard up. So they getting ready to get hit from all sides. I mean, you got a Federal Reserve, you have IRS. Okay, you're dependent on the grid. You people are through. Okay, you need this to continue in order to have some type of sense of self-worth. So at the end of the day, America's really finished. And it says, and therefore I will bring the worst of the heathen, and they shall possess their houses, and I will also make the pomp of the strong to cease, and thy holy places to be defiled, and destruction cometh, and they should seek peace, and there should be none. Okay? Because remember, all these migrants, they think they said they had a caravan of 150,000 more migrants just waiting until the election results are solved, and then they're going to bring them over. Whether Kamala wins, then I guess they get to come here. If not, then they may have to send them back. But Venezuela, like, look, we're not accepting anybody back. Okay, so they didn't pour it out half the population into the United States. These people are over here because they know something is getting ready to happen. Okay, this is how I know that this election is something different about it. Okay, whoever wins, this shit still gonna go down. Okay, to some degree. We don't know. We just have to wait and see. But it's all hell is on the verge of breaking loose regardless. Okay, and 2025 may just be the year that all hell may break loose in America. And y'all be like, well, y'all say that every year. Well, we do, because the scriptures say, hasten the day of the Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right, and it says here, and mischief should come upon mischief. Rumor should be upon rumor, and they should seek a vision of the prophet and the law of the priest. It says, but the law should perish from the priest and the counsel from the ancient. You know? So, yeah, just a matter of time. Lord's will. One more precept and I end it here. 2 Edges 15, verses 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. It says, for the people, it says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. This is the coming civil war. It says, for there should be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they should not regard their kings nor their princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their own power. So people are not going to give a fuck. They ain't going to give a damn about what some policy or what some mayor like this dude, Brandon Johnson in Chicago. They're about ready to hang that nigga by his bootstraps, man. Okay, he's promoting another $300 million tax hike, property tax hike to Chicagoans. So now they're like, where the hell we gonna get this money? We already paying them the $10,000 a year in property taxes on a fucking $1 million house. Like, how the hell you gonna afford that? So yeah, people, they're literally, like we've already said, that it's putting the squeeze on people. Hegelian dialect is pressure from above, pressure from beneath. They're putting a squeeze on people, and they're gonna squeeze people out of the way of living. Okay, people are not gonna have the means to be able to afford basic necessities, which fucking food is expensive, man. I bought a few items off Amazon, and I bought a few items from the store yesterday, and that shit cost me $60 for like 10, 15 items. 60 fucking bucks, bro. You know, shit that was to run you a couple of dollars back in the 90s, if that. You know, ain't no way in hell nobody should be paying no fucking $8 for a carton of eggs. That's ridiculous. And then the crazy part about it is the shit is all GMO. So it's like, what the fuck? And it says, and a man should desire to go into a city and should not be able. But for their pride, the city should be troubled, and the houses should be destroyed, and men should be afraid. And the man should have no pity upon his neighbor, but destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and great tribulation. So you notice this takes place, and then when you go down, it goes into World War III. So there's going to be a constant buildup of these events prior to the coming of Yahweh Shai, man. All right? But I'm going to end it giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Lord's will, you will edify. To the next lesson. Shalom.